Okay, everybody, I wanted to do a third part to the macaroni training video and our set of videos. We've got some clips here to show you. And just to recap, if you haven't seen the other videos, we started with getting him out of the trailer. We moved on to walking him around the park on a lead rope and a halter, making sure that he's listening, he's paying attention, he's not being unsafe, he's not running off, he's not paying attention to other things or looking for comfort from other things. In this third part, we work with the water. Now, some horses take to water, no problem whatsoever. They'll go in, they'll splash, they'll play, they'll swim, I've seen a video where a horse was blowing bubbles. Not sure really what that was about, but it was pretty interesting. You know, some horses just really take to playing in water or going in water, but some horses don't. And you'll always want to check that out before you go try to ride them in the water, because it can be a real tough experience, especially if you're in a group of people and everybody's going together on a trail ride, and you have to go in this direction, you have to go wherever they're going, and you might end up holding everybody up because your horse isn't used to water at all. So water training is essential. The thing about it too, the interesting thing about it, is it's so empowering for the horse as they get past, if they're nervous about it, they get past this obstacle on their head about what water's about. And it's not like it's unnatural for horses to go into water, because when it rains, there's obviously puddles around, and they'll go into the mud and stuff. But moving water or running water, a creek or a stream, is not quite as natural unless they sort of grow up in that. A lot of our horses nowadays don't grow up in that type of environment. They grow up in stalls, paddocks, and dry pastures. Not all, but a lot. And so, you know, what are you going to do? You got to take them to environments where you can practice this stuff. So, macaroni here, right there. Took him and led him around the park, and then finally got him into the water where he didn't want to go in. Not surprising. No problem. If I tried this on his back, he would have had even more trouble. So the first thing that I always do with every horse that I'm working with is I start on the ground. I find it easier to control a horse on the ground than I do in the saddle, in most cases, not all, but most. And I can direct his feet, and not only can I direct his feet, but I can lead him, and he can see that where I'm going is safe. And this can be really common. You're on a road and you got to get across a manhole, or you know, you're on a trail and you got to get across a log, or you got to get across a bridge. There's many cases where you'll have to hop off and lead them across, and made it. So the water is no different. I'll try to find a place that it's easy to get into and easy to get out of. And you'll see I'll narrate this video again, and you'll see how I direct him and block him based on where he's going and where I want him to go. And in the case of him, he actually went in pretty good. And every time I go to try to lead him in, every time he takes a step, I'll let loose. I'll just relax. I'll let him know he did the right thing. Once in a while, I'll pet him. But as soon as he gets in, and then it's a matter of getting him used to the water, you know, splashing him or leading him around, and we'll start doing our groundwork. We'll start doing our circles. Sometimes we'll do half circles. We'll just do one area. It might be a smaller stream or creek. And from there, leading, backing, and after that, of course, you might want to grab a saddle and see if you can ride him in. Because that's the goal. The goal is to do the trail ride, and the goal is to make it out on the beautiful trails that we've got. And we've got piles of streams and creeks and lakes and stuff like that to get through, and the horse has to be okay with that. You would really want them to be comfortable and at peace with the idea that they can go into water. Should be an easy thing to do. Anyways, so I'll put this clip on now. I'll stop talking, but I will talk a little bit through it to let you know what I'm thinking, what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and hopefully it's an informational video that'll be useful. You might try it out, you might not, but at least you'll have something there. Maybe another tool in your toolbox, some ideas. Yeah, anyways, thanks for watching this far, and let's get into it. Okay, now we're picking up where we last left off here at Alco Park, and we've got macaroni down near the water. And if you haven't seen the two videos before this one. The first one was getting him off the trailer, and the second one was walking him to this water area. Each one has its own steps of how to get him to be better, to be closer to me, to be connected, to follow my direction, to be safer. So we've made it to the water. He's obviously resistant to go into the water. He's all muscle at this point, and not really calmly thinking about what's going on. One of the tricks, or one of the easiest things you can do, if you don't mind getting wet, to have your horse understand that the water is not such a big deal, besides having your dog get in your way, is to get in the water yourself. And it can assist them in thinking that the water is maybe not so dangerous. It's no different than going over a manhole or a bridge or any of these kinds of things where you go first and you be the leader. So it goes without saying that I was going to be in the water for this exercise today. I'm on the ground already. I'm not riding him. This is his very first time that I'm aware in his life that he's actually been near running water, outside of a puddle or a small stream in the yard of some sorts. This is his first time. So you can see that he'd like to trust me, but he just can't bring himself to do it. And he's all back legs at this point, trying to stop himself from going in. And I'm not going to force him into it. I'm essentially just blocking the left and right as best as I can. And I'll encourage him forward towards me. And when he does come forward, or he kind of checks that out with his nose and brings his nose forward, no different than when he's trying to get off the trailer. He'll bring his nose forward first, and then his feet will follow. So he's doing pretty good, very tense, very worried, very nervous, but he gives it a try and sort of comes in quickly. I'd rather him come in slowly and calmly, but I'll take what I can get at this point. So now that I've got him in, I'm just going to let him stand for a minute, check it out, have a sniff. He can look and see what it's all about. I'll walk him a little bit further after that initial sort of dive into the water that he sort of did. And then we'll start in with what he's very much used to, which is groundwork. And that's circles around me. The most basic move of groundwork is just circles and splashing, because he's going to get wet. This is a place to enjoy even though he's worried right now. In time, this won't take long before he probably enjoys this kind of thing, especially in the summertime. In the colder months, maybe not. So we've got maybe 2 or 3 good months of warm weather, really warm weather, where this water itself will be pretty warm, and he'll be hot enough that it'll feel pretty good. So what I'm doing here is I'm just having him go around me. And even though he'd like to check out everything that's around us, I'm still going to do my best to keep his nose slightly in. If a horse does not have their nose in while you're lunging them, while you're doing circle work like this, then it means that they're checking out other things around them. The more in that they can have their nose, not too far obviously, but enough that they've got their ear, they've got their eyes. See there, he wasn't paying attention to me, there again. So I'll just sort of use my hand and I will put a little wiggle in the rope and bump his nose inwards while keeping him going forwards. There's 2 ways that I drive him forward. One is by splashing him sort of in that back end area. And the second would be my rope if I needed it. But obviously I didn't need it. He's going pretty good, as you can see by the splashes that he's making in the water. When he first got into the water, if you want to rewind this video, you'll see that his back legs came right up and out of the water when he went to go take a step. Very, very, very careful steps. Now he's back to sort of a little bit more normal walking, where his back legs are coming up normally, but you know, they're not clearing the water completely. So after we kind of got that done, I brought him over to the other part of the shore and just sort of rewarded them. You pet them. I mean, every opportunity you get, you pet them, have them feel good about what they're doing, be reminded that they're doing a good job, and I just continue to splash them and wash them off, give them a good cleaning. And it's not all work, you know, you just sort of keep at doing those kinds of things. When we had that done, I walked them back down the stream because I wanted to do the same circle exercise, but in deeper water. This stream is actually excellent for this. It's nice round rock underneath. It's sand and round rock, so it's great footing. In fact, it's an excellent type of footing to clean your horse's hooves off and round off their corners and stuff like that. It's really nice. So we're here at the farther end, just going through deeper water, same exercise. Once we did that, I bring him back to shore. We come up, we hang out, I pet him a little bit, and it all just reinforces that he can come out of that pressure. He can come out of the water and be back on land, and it's all good. And he's sniffing around. I mean, a lot of horses come here, so he's probably sniffing around because he can smell a lot of other horses that come to this place. Alco Park's been very popular, but he's not really freaking out. He's not overly worried. So I thought, well, let's test this out. Let's see how far he got. Let's see if he can go back in without too much trouble. And as you can see, he's again all back legs until finally he gets his feet in and steps over the rocks, and in we go into the water again. As a handler, it's very important, or as your rider, it's very important to help the horse through spots like that have big rocks. If they step on them weird, they can sort of turn their foot. They can bruise their sole, and it's very uncomfortable and feel unsafe. So always check the stream bed and stuff like that for difficult crossings. You can really sour a horse on water if you're not careful. Once we were done that, hop back out of the water and head on back home. He's all wet and feeling pretty good, I think. He's paying a little bit more attention. He's still curious. And as I go along, I had to bump him back there a little bit, make sure he doesn't get too far ahead of me. And so we go back to the same thing that I did in the last video, whereas if he's curious and he thinks he needs to start looking around, then maybe I need to be a bit more active. And so there's lots of trees around here, lots of little trails to come in and out of. And so we're just practicing all that same stuff, just in a different location. And I think he did really well for his very first time ever going to a stream like that. It didn't take too long to get in, and he's a real good boy once he got in there and just sort of went into the flow of things that we usually do with our groundwork. So thanks for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed this, and we'll see you guys again soon.